All right, so welcome to the Manual for Teachers meeting. So we actually are looking at the Manual for Teachers, at least that's part of the meeting. So some interesting things came to me just in looking at this, and that's really great. So I will share that with you too. But I'm really happy that you're here and that you decided to join this and take time to connect with what is real, and yeah, continue the discovery of that. So all these things that we're going to share are actually, say, made for it. They are actually designed for it to help you to see what is really going on. And so the interesting part is that the title of this class I called like Stepping Back. And I'm going to start with a prayer that is telling you that myself is the ruler of the universe. And that doesn't sound like stepping back at all, does it? So there must be some confusion going on. And we're going to discover what exactly that is. Or maybe there's no confusion at all, but it's just the way that you look at it. So the lesson I'm going to read is a prayer lesson, and we use this for a little meditation. So some time to contemplate this idea and like, oh yeah, wait a minute, this is what we're doing here, something like that. It's like a realignment, if you want. So this is lesson 253 of the workbook, and it's 253rd day. That's somewhere in September, I think, when this lesson is the daily lesson. But we're using it now, just because it's a great lesson to take a look at, and to pray, and to contemplate. Myself is ruler of the universe. It is impossible that anything should come to me unbidden by myself. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. What happens is what I desire. What happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. This must I accept. For thus am I led past this world to my creations, children of my will. In heaven, where my holy self abides, with them, and him who has created me. So that's a lot of things. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. What happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. And this must I accept. For thus, and this is important, for thus am I led past this world to my creations, children of my will, with a capital W. In heaven, where my holy self abides with them, the creations of and children of my will, and him who has created me. Well, that is really abstract. You are the self whom you created, Son. You are the self whom you created, Son. Creating like yourself and one with you. Myself, which rules the universe, is but your will, in perfect unity and perfect union with my own. which can but offer glad assent to yours, that it may be extended to itself. Okay, so this is close to a koan, you know, like the Tibetan koans. You are the self whom you created, Son, creating like yourself and one with you. Myself with capital S, which rules the universe, is but your will in perfect union with my own, which can but offer glad assent to yours, that it may be extended to itself. Myself is ruler of the universe. It's the self with a capital S. Myself is ruler of the universe. So this is great. We're going to keep this. We're not going to explain it, but this is the truth about you. Myself is ruler of the universe. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. So even in this world, it is like what you desire will happen. And you say like, well, I didn't want this to happen. I really didn't want this to happen. I was like, yeah, you did want that to happen. Nobody else wanted it. It's like you have a desire for that. So you will have to accept it that you wanted it. Otherwise it would not have occurred. So that's in this world too. But now you need to recognize it. It says here, you need to recognize it that you're in fact get exactly, like there's no difference between cause and effect. What you desire manifests itself. So you need to accept that in order to pass beyond it. That's why it's important. Not so much that you start to work with that and try to figure it out how you can use that in for your own purposes. No, that not. So this is about discovering that you are the cause of what you see happen in your world. That there's nothing outside of you deciding that for you. Then, when you discover that for yourself and accept that, you end up in the place where you actually go beyond it. Because then you also start to recognize say, I can come in touch with the children of my creation, with the will of God, because He is moving through me. I'm literally in union with the will of God. So that's coming into the heavenly realm with that. So that's why this is here. It's like, okay, so first you have to accept in this world too that what you desire, you literally get reflected. Whether you like it or not, it is what you asked for. That's why it's happening. So now I accept that. Then I move through this. When I've accepted it, I move through this idea and come into a whole different way of cause and effect, because then it shifts in fact to like, I'm not a cause in myself. My cause is, say, God. That is in me, yes, absolutely, but it's in me, and from there it extends to itself. See, that's where you come into a whole different say arena, so to speak. But also it's great to see this focal point that you have for yourself. Like, okay, I'm deciding here what I want to see reflected in this world. I'm actually asking for all the experiences that I have, and I get that reflected. So that's good to know, because I really thought it was the other guy that was determining for me how this all works. And we can go really deep into that. In fact, we do that all the time when we read the reviews of the first 50 lessons. It's like, I have no neutral thoughts. So my thoughts are actually creating something all the time. If I think that there's somebody out there doing something to me, I have first created that idea. Like I first have manifested that idea in my mind that there's another body or another guy out there who can do things to me. I've set up that whole scenery, that whole scenario. So accepting that I'm the director and, say, the maker of it, I have also the possibility to change the whole scenario, or to say like, well, I've no interest in doing that anymore. I go within, connect with my source and see what my place is in that. And this, when I say it like this, it sounds like a reasonable thing to do, or it's like, but it is like exactly that process is taking place in us. So that process is what you could call your transformational process. The process where you come to the place, or learn to come to the place that you recognize yourself as the source of what you see out there, and at the same time moving past that into recognizing that you're the effect of God, coming into the, say, connection with your source. So this is really important. And then extending unto itself, and extending the will of God unto itself. So that's really great. So this is really like, in fact, a miracle procedure altogether. Recognizing that you're the source is giving, say, yourself the opportunity to heal. So that's how great this is. It's like it's a miraculous healing event. It's a shift of putting the cause outside of you or bringing it back to here. It's like, no, this is where it started. My projections, literally what I'm seeing, started here. It started here, not anywhere else. So now we're sinking deeper into ourselves, making a connection with our stillness, stepping back out of this, coming here, like going within, realizing that I'm the effect of God, like I'm the effect. God is my cause. It is my source. It is what created me, and I'm completely one with it. It's completely one thing. It's like we said the other day, there's no unity of the Father and the Son. No, they're one. They're one of a kind. There's no place where the Father ends and the Son begins. It's a completely melted into one. So this is really fundamental what we're talking about today. It's so fundamental. So the text that I found with it, that came to me, is like so amazing. So one of them is from chapter 18, and the other one is from the Manual for Teachers, say section 22. And it really doesn't matter which one I start first, because they basically all say the same thing, but in different ways. So I'm starting with chapter 18 in the Urtext, 18d. Light in the Dream is the section. But I'm reading only, I say, the last part of that, D9, on page 180 of the Urtext. I better keep this up. Page 180 of the Urtext. Let me see, I want to hold this book. So here we are. It's very lovely, very lovely. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. Wow. When such great light has joined with you to give the little spark of your desire the power of God Himself, can you remain in darkness? Of course not. You are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. You have found each other and will light each other's way. And from this light will the great rays extend back into darkness and forward unto God, to shine away the past and so make room for His eternal presence, in which everything is radiant in light. I'll repeat that once more because I just love it totally. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God, but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. When such great light has joined with you to give the little spark of your desire, the power of God Himself, can you remain in darkness? No, you are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey, which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. You have found each other and will light each other's ways. And from this light will the great rays extend back into darkness and forward unto God, to shine away the past and so make room for His eternal presence, in which everything is radiant in the light. So that is the last paragraph of this section, Light in the Dream. So the interesting is the first paragraph sounds like this. You have spent your lives in bringing truth to illusions, reality to fantasy, have walked the way of dreams. We have gone from walking to sleeping, and on to a yet deeper sleep. Each dream has led to other dreams, and every fantasy that seemed to bring a light into the darkness has but made the darkness deeper. Your goal was darkness, in which no ray of light could enter, and you sought a blackness so complete that you could hide from truth forever in complete insanity. What you forgot was simply that God cannot destroy Himself. The light is in you. Darkness can cover it, but it cannot put it out. The light is in you. And as the light comes nearer, you will rush to darkness, shrinking from the truth, sometimes retreating to the lesser forms of fear and sometimes to stark terror. But you will advance, because your goal is the advance from fear to truth, and you know this. The goal which you accepted is the goal of knowledge, for which you signified your willingness. Fear seemed to live in darkness when you are afraid. You have stepped back. Let us then join quickly in an instant of light, and it will be enough to remind you that your goal is light. Truth has rushed to meet you, since you called upon it. So, and then to support this idea is like, okay, not one light in heaven, but goes with you. It's like all the help that you can possibly can imagine, and more, much more, is with you all the time. Like there's no place where you don't bring that, where you don't take that with you. It can be, say, covered up by your denial for a moment, but the light cannot go anywhere. It's in you. You can't lose it. So here then also the important part of, with your mind you do all kinds of things. So one of them is then going through an episode where you actually think that you're guilty of something. It's like, okay, I've denied the presence of God, and now what is God going to do with me? So there's like a deep sense of fear in most of us. Like there's a deep sense of fear that you have done something wrong in order to allow this light to completely come into your awareness. What needs to occur? Like that needs to be undone. Do you need to go on your knees for it, or is God going to punish you for everything that you have denied, all the love and all the fear that you invited in? Is God going to punish you for that? These ideas have been taught and have been pounded on people's mind, but have in fact no origin at all and no power either. So none of that is true. It's like, no, heaven goes with you. Like every ray of light is with you, is present in you. You're still completely, say, part of it. There is no separation. There's nothing that can take that away from you. And you're completely entitled to come back to this, or to have this in full awareness. So that's always so good to hear too. But see, there's a stepping back that is being asked of you. So the literal sentence was this, it's like, fear seems to live in darkness when you are afraid. When you are afraid, you have stepped back. And then it is like, okay, ask for this moment of healing. Join quickly in an instant of light. See, this is what I meant in the beginning too. It's like it's a healing procedure. It is not just having ideas about the world and darkness and all this. It's like, no, the thing is that is a frequency of death. It is not connected to you at all. It has nothing to do with the truth of who you are. So by stepping back out of that and literally asking for help, or allowing that light to come into your awareness as you could call it a miracle, like asking for a miracle, and that will take care of it. It's like you are completely entitled to that. There's nothing that you need to do for it except asking for it. That's all. And then it says like we join for a moment in the light. And that is sufficient to recognize, oh yeah, I'm in good hands. Oh yeah, nothing is happening. So this can be that suddenly you feel something is lifted off your shoulders. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to do that. I really thought there was something outside myself or happening in my body that I could not do anything with, or something like that. It's like whatever the example is that you have in mind, or that you are living at this point, bringing into expression. Like the healing procedure is, that has actually not occurred. It has no effect. It has no origin, really. It's like you don't have a need for it. And with the remembrance of light, of having this falling off your shoulders, suddenly feeling your connectedness again, that is sufficient to continue on the path. And like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. So it is a healing class that we're in. So it's like allow this. So allow this light to enter into your mind. Even now, it's like, where is it? Where is it? I go inside. I connect with myself. Like, well, not that anymore. I know the origin of it. It's like it started all here. I recognize that now. I accept that too. So now the next step then is allowing the light to come into my awareness. Right here, right now. No, nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to fear. Like, it is in me. I cannot lose it. It is just a recognition of what is still there. But you want it in full awareness. Yeah. So myself is ruler of the universe, myself with a capital S. Coming in touch with the children of my creation, with the will of God. Yeah, instead of my fantasies and strange desires and impossible dreams, in fact. So then continuing on page 180 with 18e, the little willingness. The holy instant, it says here, the holy instant is the result of your determination to be holy. It is the answer. The holy instant is the result of your determination to be holy. It is the answer. The desire and the willingness to let it come precede its coming. The desire and the willingness to let it come precede its coming. It's like you have to want it. It has to be your desire, and you're willing to open yourself up for it. You prepare your minds for it only to the extent of recognizing that you want it above all else. It is not necessary that you need do more. Indeed, it is not necessary that you realize. It is necessary that you realize that you cannot do more. So this is the possibility to enter into a holy instant where you say receive your new perspective for just a moment. You are being lifted out of this. And that is happening by your desire for it. I want that. I want it above all else. I want to see it differently, and I want, that's all I want. I want that to happen to me. So with your desire and your willingness to open yourself up for that, it can happen. So this is the simplicity of that. Are we doing good? Yeah. So that's the simplicity of that. That is what is necessary for it. What is necessary to come into a holy instant, in a moment in which you are relieved from your own ideas about yourself, coming into a recognition of, say, your communication with God, your willingness, and, say, your desire. You have to want it. Then suddenly there is something happening. You become open, and this is all you can do. It is not that you, say, pull the miracle to you. No, it's like you step back to a real certain degree. It's like you step back, and at the same time you desire above all else that you want it, and you're willing to let that occur. But then it stops for you. So then it can come to you. So this is exactly the spot of, say, stepping back out of your out of your control ideas and allowing this to happen because you want it to happen. That's basically how that goes. And then suddenly it's like, wow, I can't believe it. It actually works. It's like, that's a surprise. It actually works. And I'm actually perceiving that light. And I'm seeing my screen. So 1 second. So it's like you can't believe it, but it actually works. It is always a surprise in a certain sense, because it is so different than the way that you think normally. So is there a possibility that we can experience that now? It's like, why not? Is this your desire? Do you want it? Is it your desire? Are you willing to receive it? Then it can happen. So now, what can I do more? Nothing. Stay right here. Will it happen? Who knows? It might come to you. Why not? Because it's really what you want and you're open. But you leave away the concern and control. Because you don't have any control, and it's not necessary in order for this to happen. So we keep this in mind too. So now, going to section 22 of the 22, yeah, here is Manual for Teachers. So it's on page 438 for the ones who read this in the original, say, Urtext manuscripts. So I read the last part of it, using it with the same idea of stepping back, with the same idea of the holy instant and all this, but still a little bit different angle. So the part that I'm actually reading is also is from the section, what is the role of words in healing? But we use a very specific part out of it. So here's some fundamentals. The prayer for things of this world bring experiences of this world. And what you desire, it will come to you. It's like you pray for that, this is what you get. If the prayer of the heart asks for this, this will be given, because this will be received. It is impossible that the prayer of the heart remain unanswered in the perception of the one who asks. It is impossible that prayer of the heart remains unanswered in the perception of the one who asks. If he asks for the impossible, if he wants what does not exist or seeks for illusions in his heart, all this becomes his own. The power of decision offers it to him as he requests. Herein lie, this is pretty amazing, herein lie hell and heaven. The sleeping Son of God has but this power left to him. It is enough. His words do not matter. Only the word of God has any meaning, because it symbolizes that which has no human symbols at all. It symbolizes that which has no human symbols at all. The Holy Spirit alone understands what this word stands for, and this too is enough. So, is the teacher of God then to avoid the use of words in his teaching? No, indeed. There are many who must be reached through words, yet unable to hear in silence. The teacher of God must, however, learn to use words in a new way. Gradually, he learns how to let his words be chosen for him by ceasing to decide for himself what he will say. This process is merely a special case of the workbook lesson. I will step back and let him lead the way. The teacher of God accepts the words which are offered him and gives as he receives. He does not control the direction of his speaking. He listens and hears and speaks. So, and it continues then in this. I'll put this book away because it's so big. So it continues then with this. There's the idea of you have ideas about what fits into healing and not healing, and what you should say to someone and what you should not say to someone. So here, in fact, in the Manual for Teachers, it says like, forget all that. You listen, you share, you give what you give. Like, you don't have to determine what you're going to say. And so the thing is that in the controlling mechanism that you're so used to in your thinking, the observer or the controller, the questioner, whatever name you got for it, it's all great, whatever name you got for it. So it's like that thing is not helpful in expressing yourself when you listen, because it wants to control what it says, and in that you miss that what is actually given. So what I mean with that is this: it's like some things that you are actually, say, asked to express might be embarrassing for you. that happens. It's like sometimes you have no idea how that works out. So you feel shame, or you feel whatever you feel. It's like, well, that was not really what I had in mind to share. It's like, no, that's right. It is given you. So this is really important in the sense of, say, in healing contact that you have, or anyone that you meet. Allow this to happen to you, that you share, and blindly, say, express what comes to you, because that's where, say, all the fun is in that sense, and where all the healing can take place. Because if it would be under your control, nothing would ever change. Like if you would determine what healing is and what is not healing, if you knew the difference, you would not be here, especially not in this class. You would not be here. So apparently that does not work. Your control mechanisms, like your filter, your control, your lens, whatever you want to call that, is not working, and that's why it is asked to step back out of it in order for the healing to take place, and words that need to be expressed if necessary. So this is, of course, a very interesting topic, because some teachers say it, like Joel says, like, no, you don't have to use words or this or that. It's like, no, in fact, you don't have to use words. But for some, say, I'm not determining that I don't need to use words. I'm not determining that. If I literally hear that I have to share words, I will. I'm not determining anything during this healing hour. I'm not determining anything in the moment that we have a healing treatment, or a moment that we come together for healing. Because I don't know. I step back, I listen. Then whatever comes out of my mouth, I will trust that completely, because it's given. I have no control over it. I don't want control over it. I have no interest in control over it, because my only goal is the return of the memory of God in everyone, like in all of us, in my consciousness, in our one consciousness. So that's why making rules about, should you use words, or are you going to do this or that, who knows? You don't know, for sure not, and you're not in charge of this either. So this is really helpful. In fact, it's like it opens the door to a healing moment in which you're not determining anything. You have no idea. Maybe it's enough to smile to a person, or to just be there, to just hold his hand, to do this or that. Like, that will be told exactly the way it has to be for you by listening. That will be your way to extend the truth of who you are. And that's so beautiful, and it's so simple. So there's like no rules connected to it. Not made up by men or by anything in a book, or no, it's like, listen, this is the unique moment in which this is going to occur. Their healing is not for this person or for that person. No, this is a remembrance. Like, we remember God personally. In that, the healing takes place in exactly the form that is necessary. Words can be used, this can be used, touch can be used, anything can be used. Who knows how that's going to look? Maybe the only thing I have to do is take my socks, like take my shoes off, take my socks off, and walk through the grass. As an example of that, like, why not? That can be a great miracle for you to express yourself as, as the light of who you are. Who knows? Like, that can be embarrassing for you because you had 2 different socks on this morning, and you actually are conscious of that while you have to take off your shoes. That's what you just heard. It's like, take off your shoes, take off your socks, and just walk through the grass. So these things happen, and the fun part of it is then it becomes so in the moment, and also so very specific for this. That has nothing to do with a practice of anything. It's like, no, this is given you in this moment, and this is what it looks like. So I love that. I love it. So great examples today. So the fundamentals we got in the text, like fundamentals as, I am able, say as a human being or as a human mind, I'm able to cover up the light. So I'm also capable of asking for help to have that removed. It's like there's nobody else, there's nothing else determining that. Not my body, not my neighbor, not the president, not the this, not the that. It's like there's no authority outside yourself determining what is going to happen for you. So recognizing that and taking that as your own responsibility for what is occurring, you invite, in fact, God to help you to have this darkness, say, being removed from you and allowing the light to come in by your desire and willingness to receive an holy instant. Like you have to want it, and you're willing to undergo that. Above all else, like there's not another option in your mind. No, this is it. This is what I want. This is the only thing I want, and I want to experience that. Then I stop. I don't go anywhere else. I don't move forward and say like, well, this and this and this, and I should do that and that and that. No. Then I start to listen too. So whenever I'm doing this with someone else, what appears to be someone else, having a healing moment together, I discover, I listen. I don't have to do this. I don't have to make up how to help this person because I have no idea. So I allow this free flow to come to me, the words of God speaking to me, giving me everything in the right moment to share. I can completely trust that. So this is like the summary of what I've said, but it's so fundamental and so practical and so helpful. And it's great to to discover that once you start to trust it, it becomes like a flow. You ask for help to do this. You ask for help. It's like, I want to see this differently above all else because I don't want to be in darkness. I have enough of that. My only desire is to experience that holy instant of reunion, of self-forgiveness, if you want. I forget the past and forget whatever I thought about everything. Allow this moment to be brand new and share it and extend it to itself. So that was the stepping back part of the manual for teachers, using the prayer in the chapter 18. So I love it. So I will read once more this beautiful prayer, 253. Myself is ruler of the universe. It is impossible that anything should come to me unbidden by myself. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. What happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. This must I accept. For thus am I led past this world to my creations, children of my will with a capital W, in heaven where my holy self abides with them, and him who has created me. You are the self whom you created, Son, creating like yourself and one with you. My self, which rules the universe, is but your will in perfect union with my own, which can but offer glad assent to yours, that I may be extended to itself. All right, so thank you for this. Thank you so much for being present here in this class, and it's great to read these parts. So chapter 18, and then the Manual for Teachers, section 22, and this lesson. So it's so great that so much is given us, and very simple, very specific. Like, it's going to be so helpful to use this. Like, we can have this being, say, shown to us in this very instant. So it's so practical. So thank you for being here, listening to this, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.